Hey, come on. Come on. What? Here we go, here we go, here we go now. Hey. Let's chit chat, this is the show now. Come on. Bad black mama's gonna let you know now. Hey. Here we go, here we go, here we go now. Come on. Let's chit chat, let's chit chat, hey. Let's chit chat, sis. Hey, what's up? Let's chit chat, let's chit chat, let's chit chat, sis. Hey.
So the icebreaker that I'm going to use, I had already told Celeste about this icebreaker, about my driving.
Lord Jesus.
Yesterday I was downtown and I go.
Are we going? Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I'm going. So Celeste knows about it. I just wanted to tell you guys about it.
Are we recording now?
No, I'm getting ready to start. Oh, I have to record, but I have to stop this. But let me pause. Welcome to Let's Chit Chat, sis. I'm Kimmy.
I'm your girl Celeste.
And this is JB from NC.
And Tasha Rose today.
Hey. And we are back on the porch today, bringing you the real conversation with the hottest topics. But before we get started, guys, I have to tell you about my episode yesterday.
What
I
happened?
want to ask you a question. Do you think that when you get to, and I'm not talking about like senior citizen, do you think that when you move like back to an area, you should have a driving refresher course?
Move back to an area?
So you mean coming from the country, going back to the city, knowing how to maneuver? Well, I can say that because when I go back home to New York, you got to be on defense when you drive. You got to be able to handle yourself.
Okay. I just wanted to see if I was like off base because yesterday, okay, anybody don't know my little backstory. I lived down south for like 23 years. So I moved back up north. And when I lived up north, I didn't have a car. I really took public transportation and I didn't have to worry about driving a car. So every Saturday I go into Philly, and when I go into Philly, you know, I kind of get a little paranoid because I'm a highway driver now. So, you know, I'm a little bit more cautious. I don't drive like reckless in the city because everybody else is driving reckless but me. You know what I mean? I'm a little paranoid. I don't want to tear up my car. So yesterday I go to the Red Terminal in Philly. That's like the hot spot. It has all the food and, you know, everybody goes there. So I'm also anal about parking in the front of a building. You know, I have to get over this. So my car is a little, it's pretty big, I would say. And it was this one little spot. So I was trying to parallel park my car. And people in Philly, I'm like this myself, are not patient. So I was trying to get into this spot. So this lady in front of me, she pulled into the spot in front of me. Like, I was like, damn, like, why did she pull in there? Because now I got less room to get into the spot. So I was just trying to back up, get in, back up and parallel park. So this lady gets out of her car. She's like 5 feet tall, right? She knocks on my window. She was like, hey, get out that car because I'm going to park this car for you. I was like, park my car? What? She was like, yes. She said, get out the car because I'm gonna park this car for you, right? I was like, no, I said, I don't want you to hit my car. I don't want you to hit no accident with my car. She was like, hell, your ass getting ready to have an accident with your own car. Get out the car and let me park the car. I was like, oh, well, let me let the lady park the car. The people across the street was laughing. They were cracking up. I had on like this dress. It was windy. And I was standing in the street. So then I became like the person directing her. And she was so tiny. She was like, hey, where's the button to pull up your seat? She lifted my seat up. It looked like a high chair. It was pulled way up. She pushed it way up to the front. And then I was like, oh my God. But homegirl wheeled the car in there. She didn't hit the front to the back, and she got my car in the spot. And she said, I know it's COVID, but let me give you a hug, honey, because you need a hug, right? The people across the street laughing and clapping. I was like so embarrassed. So when I got back home, I told my husband what happened, right? He was like, I know the hell you didn't get somebody else to go. Why didn't she would have drove off with your car, right? I was like, I have Geico insurance. I was like, it was nothing to worry about. He was like, maybe you should just take the bus when you go downtown. understand
But
what.
here's my question. Before she parked in front of you, were you still having a trouble?
I was, because I'm not.
I don't. Yeah, I really don't understand. Tasha, I just wanted to make sure. So,
But look, I left her in my car, my freaking pocketbook and everything was in the car. I didn't even think about that until like afterwards. But she was see like a nice lady, and you know, I'm really a guarded person. But homegirl was wheeling the car. She wheeled it. She was like, I mean, the car was in there. I was like, she did a good job. I was like, I gotta do better. I have to take a course or something. You know, hey, I just
You must have been really struggling. I mean, like really struggling. You had a
Hey, the
total
people
stranger
beeping
hit
their
the
horns. They
she
be
just finished saying she was
all
struggling. She was struggling before the car parked in front of her.
You know what I mean? Like you must have been like all crooked, all on the curve. She was like, okay, let me stop her before she hit my car.
I was
You
crooked,
know?
and then the car. Once you back up the wrong way the first time and you pull out, you don't have a chance. You just jacked up. So I was like, I don't have anywhere to go. I have to, you know, if I pull way out, the person behind me may come and take the spot. So I can't just do that. I'm gonna just try to do it my own little way, back up a little. Like she was like, hey, just wait a minute here. You know what I mean? Just let me in the car and park your car, right? I was like, no, you want to make, you can have access.
Tasha about to blow up.
I have to know because me and my friends would have been the person in the car like talking a lot of shit. We may not have went as far as to offer to help you, but we've been like, yo, what is this lady doing right here? Right? Like, but how big is your car? Is it a midsize? Is it like an SUV? Do you drive like a what type of car? I know we're like, you know, security, we don't give all the business.
I have a Mercedes. I have a C-Class. It's a newer model. It's a sedan. So it's not easy to get the car in there. It's not.
But you still got the baby mama Benz. You got the C-Class. Like you got the not like the big engine, like the big boy car. You got the little cute baby mama Benz. And you were struggling. And you let this woman in your Benz.
And Celeste, I said, Celeste, I'm glad I ain't drive my husband's car. My husband got, you know, he got the X6 and it's real big, you know what I mean? And I was like, I probably would have just tore the damn bumper off of the car.
So apparently parallel parking isn't necessary in the driver's test in New Jersey. Obviously,
it
you do
is
not have to.
because when I grew up, you had to.
I mean, as a part of the test. I'm saying as a part of the test.
It is. But in where I live at, I live just like I lived in Virginia. I pull up in the driveway and I just park my car. I don't need the parallel park. When I go to work, I pull into a driveway spot. I don't need the parallel park.
A lot of people struggle with parallel parking though. This is why there's so many now, the newer cars coming with that feature that you can just go ahead and hit the button and it's gonna do it for you. Now, I never have a car like that because all my cars are 20 years old, but that feature is why, because there are so many people that have probably said, listen, I just can't parallel park. And the auto designer said, let's help everybody out. They're struggling and create this feature because I see Lexus doing it now. It's a lot of manufacturers. I'm surprised Mercedes and BMW, probably the next year or two, they'll get into it. But that's literally a feature now. You pull up, hit the button, and the car will parallel park all by itself.
Well, I definitely need that feature. And I mean, the people now, this is really a shame. The homeless people were on the side was laughing so hard, right? I was looking at it and I started waving. I was like, it's okay. Everything is okay over here. It's okay. The people in front of the Red and Terminal, it was like young people. They were playing music and stuff. They do this every Saturday. They stopped the music. They were looking at me like,
oh, you were the whole spectacle. They was watching.
If I pop up on a video,
she gonna be on video.
You're gonna be on somebody's video.
She on video.
On a video. I said, because I was in the middle of the street. I come on saying, wait a minute, hold up. Don't go. She wasn't even looking at me.
As long as you were looking cute, don't worry about the video.
Right.
Hey, it'll be an act of kindness meme. It'll be an act of kindness meme,
really?
Kimmy, that you're gonna be on all over the world now.
Really?
Or
act of kindness.
If you can't park it, you don't need to drive it. Okay? Because come on now, girl. Like, what you got this car, you can't park it.
But you know what? This is like bothering my inner soul. So I'm going to practice this because I never had problems like this. I consider myself a good driver, but now
either practice or get that lady's number.
No, I'm not. The lady, the lady came out and she was like, she went got her bread and stuff and came out. She said, "Are you all right?" And I still wasn't even going in the store yet. When she came out, I told Celeste, I said, "Celeste," I said, when it was time for me to pull out, I said, some freaking jerk in front of me. I said, they gave me like 1 inch to get out. I said, that's all right, because I ain't gonna say nothing, because I was going until I got out. I was like, that means I need to take a couple weeks.
That's on video too. Sasha, they stayed out there waiting for her to get out.
I still can't get over the part of you letting a total stranger in your car though. That's the part that I'm like, in New Jersey?
Where was she
You
gonna
gave
go? She parked her car there.
I mean, I kind of gotta agree with your husband. Like, I would have been kind of concerned too. Like, you'd have jumped in my shit and pulled off. Even though I got insurance, it'd have just been a hell of a story. That'd have been a hell of a story.
That would, but you know what? For God's grace and mercy, I was protected within the daytime. So, you know, worse things happened in Philadelphia. If the car would have been gone, I would have let the car. I wasn't for the lady. She was 5 feet tall because, you know, I kind of thought in my mind I could have took her, but I thought I could have took her. But, you know, if it would got down to it, you know, guns and knives and all that kind of stuff, I'll take the car. You know, it's going to be okay because Geico would have to, you know, I don't know, maybe Geico wouldn't have paid me because I gave her the car, but you know, maybe
it would have been at your fault. You would have been.
Yeah, that would probably been my fault, but you know, we had to deal with that later. Okay, y'all, red flags, and I do have to say this. This is a hot topic because my girl Tasha, you know, she has a wonderful podcast, What in the Relational Fuck podcast. I actually heard her podcast do this topic, and when I tell you, I was laughing to my soul about this. So I said, you know, I'm a janker, and I'm gonna say, you know, bring it on over to the porch because I think we all have experienced red flags in our lives. You know, we were in a situation. It might not just been relational. It might have been situations like this. Was it a red flag? The lady was going to steal my damn car, you know, and now I'm talking another story. Was it a red flag that, you know, I gave somebody my personal information and they have been scheming their whole life, you know, something like that. It's a lot of things that have happened, you know, I could tell you a lot of stories that when I was growing up, you know, living in Philly that it's going to probably have everybody here cracking up. Have y'all ever heard of 3-car Molly?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. You heard of that game? That means you probably got beat.
Yeah, I lost somebody.
I didn't get beat.
Yeah,
my
me
parents
too.
always told me, if you see somebody over there playing 3-car Molly, that's the red flag. You're going to get beat. Okay. So don't be a dumbass and play 3-car Molly on the it used to be on the bus. And you like if you see them in the back of the bus playing 3-car Molly, don't you do it. So you go to the front of the bus.
On the bus.
Yeah, we in the back of the bus playing 3-car Molly.
Yeah.
And people 3-car Molly.
Right.
So, you know, these just different experiences, but I'm gonna start off with one I had when I was probably in my early 20s. And I was dating someone. No, I wasn't. I was probably mid-20s. I was dating someone, and I always wondered why during the day, you know, they could always show up, you know, at my job, and they would bring little, you know, gifts and things like that. I was like, if your job allows you to come during the daytime, you know, are you an executive or are you in management that you have flexibility like that? But you don't look like that. You don't look like you are, you know, you don't want to assume. And I think that that was a red flag for me, you know, but I didn't react on that red flag. So needless to say, this person had been working for their job for 10 plus years, okay? 10 plus years. But when they met me, they had actually cursed their boss out and had been fired, okay? But they pretended like they were going to work every day. And then they started asking me, do you have an extra $50? Because I'm going to pay that back, but could you have an extra $50? Because the payroll people is messing up my payroll, you know, and messing up my check. And we got to get this straight. You know, I've been working with my boss, but they have been fired for like over a month, you know. But the red flag was they was coming to see me all the time during the day. But before that, you know, you only could see a couple hours like in the evening here and there. But I was like, wow, you know, I guess they have to get their bills paid, but hell, what the hell? But it was a definite red flag, you know.
Was you paying bills, Kimmy?
Yeah, if I was
Turned
like,
into a little sugar mama, didn't even know
I
it.
was a sugar mama, you know what I mean? I wanted to be nice and say, oh, you know, sure, you know, because they had a house, they had, you know, a car, they had, I mean, they looked well established. Well, fast forward, all that shit was gone in a matter of 6 months. You know what I mean? They were back to living with their mom. You know what I mean? Repo man came. I'm not joking. Everything was gone.
Honest. Yeah.
Yeah, everything was gone. And they was trying to like milk it for all that it was worth. They took 10 years out of working for a company. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes things don't work at a place where you're employed, but they were trying to play off for 10 years and they cursed the boss out and they lost everything. They didn't even take the initiative to go find another job. They was
That's
just
the problem.
Yeah, they was just gonna float it out. If you thought I was gonna pay your bills for, you know, think about it, your bills is a whole person's bill. I got a whole person's bill too. How can I pay your bills?
Mm-hmm.
But
you met him, he was unemployed basically.
No, when I met him, I had even came to his job, Jay. He had a job. But that job, yeah, he had a job for 10 years.
So he was busy during the day then, but then all of a sudden he had free time during the day. I got you.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I got you. Okay.
Yes. And you know that's just not normal. How you just all of a sudden, you know, are you on vacation? The vacation lasts 1 week, 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's a damn bulletin board. That ain't a red flag. You all of a sudden you free during the day. You know what I mean? That's a damn flashing neon lights, right?
I'm just saying that's what happened. You like, you on vacation? I remember asking, you on vacation this week? Yeah. Next week too? Yeah.
Oh, I'm always looking for red flags. I think I miss out on so much fun because I'm looking for red flags. So here's my story. So and this was maybe 8 years ago. I started going back into the dating, you know, world, and I'm already on guard because I don't know what's going on. I've been out of this loop so long, so I'm really, really paying attention. And I met this guy on one of those apps. I'm not sure what it was. And he was just so nice, and we prayed together, and he was just so nice. And he just let's move slow, like real slow. And I thought, okay, that sounds nice, but this is really slow. I said, when can we meet? You know, baby, just, you know, we'll get a chance to meet. You know, we get a chance to meet. Then one time he told me, you know, I'm over here getting my car fixed. Why don't you ride through and we could talk for a little while? Sure enough, his car was there. We talked for a little while, we met. He said, you know where I would like to take you next date? To church. Now, I saw the red flag because he never would come over or he never would want to meet anywhere. And I'm thinking married, I'm thinking all kinds of things. But lo and behold, it was because he ain't had no car. He had a car. I was at the shop for months on end. So here we go. We met at church. I ain't going to say the church. You know my big church over there? And we met at church. Girl, I was dressed to the nine. He was dressed to the nine. He was looking fine. And he said, you know what? After church, he said, why don't we go somewhere and grab something to eat? And I said, all right, that sounds good. He said, I'm gonna ride with you. I said, no, you're not gonna ride with me. He said, I'll ride with you. I'm gonna leave my car in the parking lot and you bring me back here. I was like, no, I really don't not only don't I not feel comfortable with riding with men in my car, I don't really like to ride men around in the car. It just feels like too much like being a chauffeur. And I stood my ground. I said,
the brother with the passenger seat laid all the way back?
I don't do that. That don't make me wet. Don't do it. So, so I said no, and he came, I guess being in church, I guess he decided he would just come clean. He said, all right, you know, I still don't got my car fixed. I said, well, how did you get here? My boy dropped me off, you know, me and him. I said, well, you call your boy, because you ain't got no ride, boo.
Oh, Celeste.
No,
You didn't feel the
No.
spirit? The
I
spirit wasn't
left him
within
right
you?
there. Look, there was another service at 11. He can wait.
Wow.
But the red flag to me was, and I'm not saying everybody's quick and everybody's fast, but usually when you meet somebody, you'll rock for a little while on the phone, but after a while, they want to meet you, even if they meet you somewhere else, the restaurant, somewhere. And he was like, nah, let's keep taking it slow. And I was thinking, what?
He meant slow. GRTC.
Yeah. No car.
GRTC bus slow. That's what he meant.
No car. And no intention of getting it fixed. And this went on for a long time.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Oh yeah, he goes
Wow.
trifling.
Wow.
You shouldn't have been taking nobody out anyways. If you can't afford to take care of your minimal responsibilities, make sure you
And-
get from A to B.
But he was, you know what, Tasha? He was probably getting ready to make his way to see if Celeste was gonna be the cab. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Move
really?
on into the house.
He ain't pray hard enough then.
Yo, y'all went on a date to church?
Oh, I've had more than one date. More than one date has been my first date at church.
That is, look, for some of the stuff we be talking about, I am
That's a
quite
red flag
surprised,
right there.
Celeste.
That is about the third date I had. God, at the same church.
I just said, look, you done taking this
What?
thing to church?
At the
Wow.
same church.
You done talking to church now. Hold on.
One date, I took him to my church. He wanted to come to my church, but the other two happened to be and I come from a church like 9,000 deep. I'm not gonna say their name. So it wasn't uncommon for you to be in that same circle. But yeah, that's a good date. And you figure that's a ground. Boy, we're going to church. I like him.
My next first date is gonna be church, girl. You just inspired me. I'm gonna see how they roll with the plan. Like, oh, we're going to church.
Nice. It was nice.
Somebody asked me to go to church on the first date. That's gonna be a red flag.
I have never.
But it was
Damn, what's wrong with the brothers wanting to go to church? Damn,
On
man,
a
that's
first, on a first
Okay, but
date?
y'all can think I'm a demon.
spiritual brother. You know?
Well,
I'm
for
gonna
me, Tasha and Kim, it was good because I'm still trying to get out of my shell, right? I'm not really trying to go nowhere with you. And on my list, my long list, God fearing was first. So that was perfect.
Yeah.
That was
Come on.
perfect.
And
So
that's,
how do you guys?
and that's why I'm telling you, Celeste, that will be a red flag for me because I'm leaning more towards spiritual, and I don't want to go to a church. I don't want to go to a church with you first because I want to see your connection with God.
Yes.
And I it's too many fake rollers up in the church. And
Well, I want to see
if you
your
want to
suit
take
too.
me to the church first, I'm gonna
wanna
be
see the
side eyeing
suit.
your
I
ass.
want to see the suit too. If you got one of them long baggy suits that you done borrowed,
Oh
or one
yeah,
of them, you know what I'm saying?
Damn, Celeste. Wow. Wow.
No,
The
because
long baggy suit.
it tells me if you fronting first, transparency is everything to me. If he had
He
told me
might
he
have
didn't
lost
have a
weight.
car,
He might have lost weight.
if he
Well,
told
you
me he
better
didn't have
hem
a
it.
car,
Hem
I
him
would
up.
have said, I'm not comfortable with picking you up. You need to get yourself together and
And
we talk.
crap day, you looking. I'm gonna see you wearing a baggy suit. And
No, you're right. I get it though, because straight up, there are a lot of fake and phony people in churches.
Yes.
So
So
that would be
story.
that,
That was
yeah.
my
Oh God, man, I got so freaking many. But
Can I turn my
one that kind of steps out, one that kind of really kind of jumps out to me is like I'm very cautious about who I let in my house. Right. So this is years ago. This young lady I meet, she's fine, beautiful, just natural hair, everything. And I'm like, okay, I'm feeling her cute smile. We chit chat a little bit, So she's like, yeah, I said, you come on over, So she's like, yeah, sure, I'll come on over. So, we came on over and stuff and had a great time. She spent all night, and so the next morning, I was off the next day, so I been off. So she wants to cook breakfast and everything. And so I noticed it right away. She's kind of wanting to kind of clean up a little bit, straighten up. So I'm like, okay, cool. You domestic too? Wow. All right. So, but I'm thinking too, there is a time limit for your ass. Now you're not gonna just stay all night and all the next day. No, you not right out the gate. I just kind of, we just get to know each other. So I'm figuring by, 12 or 1 o'clock, you should be leaving. So here we go. Now it's like 6 or 7 o'clock the whole next evening.
Oh no.
And she's already like,
oh
can I
hell.
cook you dinner?
And y'all
And,
keep moving.
you know what I mean? And so I was like, so I so happened to go outside, and as I walked past her car, and I never forget because she had a very old Land Rover. It was real old, right? And and I remember when she had pulled up, that thing just sounded like a whole bucket of screws, right?
Stupid.
Was
So I was
all her
like,
stuff in
wow,
the car?
Yeah.
everything was in the car, Josh. I'm looking at the car, I'm like, laundry baskets in the car, everything in the car. You know how when the summer school is over, you going home or whatever, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to get a benefit of the doubt. So I go back, you know. So I'm saying, so tell me again, what do? You a student or anything like that? She's like, no, no, no. I'm not working or anything now. You know how people give you that fancy ass, I don't have a job answer. Well, right now, currently, I am in the market between, searching and finding career moves that are going to be beneficial to. Oh, so you ain't working. Okay. But it was a red flag. But that evening, she finally came out and said, don't you want a roommate? Don't you want a roommate?
Wait, but
I
you let
said,
her stay until further into the evening though. Like, we gotta
you know,
talk about this. You let her
I'm
stay
saying
a little
like,
over.
right. I did, because she was fine and sexy, had the little Jada Pinkett thing going on, maybe a little 30 pounds heavier. But I was like, okay, I was feeling the vibe. I was loving the energy she had. But then I'm like, okay, wore your welcome all the way the hell out. And that was the red flag, was that you just didn't want to get up and leave. And then to find out she was homeless. So the backstory was, yeah, she was living with her sister and her sister's husband. And they were in a 1-bedroom apartment and had 2 small dogs. So she was staying on the couch and she just didn't have anywhere to live. She didn't have anywhere to go. You know what I mean? And I was ignoring that red flag because she was so damn fine. But I just got to that point where it was like, hell no, you can't move in here.
I got a
The
question.
first day.
I got a question.
Oh,
So Jay, I'm sure she fell asleep and knocked out, and you was like, yeah, yeah. But really, she was tired because she wasn't getting no sleep.
She was not getting no rest, Celeste. Exactly. I'm thinking I did something. Your ass over here tired as hell, for real, because you
Oh
ain't
my
had a warm
goodness.
bed to sleep in.
Oh,
You
I
know,
didn't
I,
even
that's
get the pussy
terrible.
up to the part she sleep, and she just like, oh,
I was
it's a
like,
bed.
He was like, yo,
yes,
get
The
out.
door.
Yep.
Okay, but wait, James, I gotta talk about this. Okay, I have a few questions.
sure.
How many years ago was this?
Oh my God, this was 2006.
6?
2006. Yeah,
I don't
2006. That's 7.
I don't understand why on a first date you're gonna invite someone into your home. Like you said, this was your first date.
Well, I should say this. I saw her at the 7-Eleven like a couple times. We chit
So that's
chatted.
not
But
that's
the very first time, yeah, I did. I was like, come on to
that's
the
a
house.
red flag.
Night. That was
Right.
the red flag. The red flag was
Well,
spending the night.
well, we didn't intend to spend the night. She did. I didn't. But, you know, little did I
Got him.
know
Got him.
she was putting it on me because she needed a warm bed and a shower. But
Oh
yeah, I look,
So sad.
yeah, I look back on it. I definitely moved a little fast on that one, but she was so damn fine, man. I was like, damn,
my
but that made me reevaluate that initial, where do you stay? Do you really have somewhere to stay? What's going on in your life? I need details and
Mhm.
specifics.
Yes.
What's really going on? But yeah, that was weird. That was weird. I say I got crazy red flag stories.
All right,
Uh,
Tasha.
so
Tasha
give us
trying.
one, Tasha. Come on, Tasha.
Okay, so disclaimer, I am queen of avoid and ignore the red flags. I said this in my own episode. I be trying to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, right? But, and this one's bad because my father warned me about this. So, right, like as soon as I started dating or got old enough where me and my dad would kind of have these conversations, he told me about a few guys you might want to avoid. Okay. And here's what he told me: if they have rings on lots of fingers, right? Wait for it. There's more. They got more than one cell phone.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
And if they always back into
I got
parties.
more than one cell phone.
Wait. You don't like, there may be reasons for those, right?
Thank
But if you have all three in one, you may need to stop, pause, and think about what type of person you're dealing with, right?
I'm back in the spots.
But do you wear golds on every finger?
No, but I'm back in every spot.
Okay.
Well, for that reason, Tasha, for that same reason you about to say.
That's because sometimes you got to get out of there quick, right? So you got to be okay. So look,
OG player with rings on every finger, though.
Right.
OG player.
I'm a student, right? And so I must have been 19 or 20. And I'm on the bus to, not that I didn't have a car, but just because of parking and paying for parking on to school, I just wasn't going to pay for the parking pass. My job was right by a transit center, so I'd park at my job that I worked at. It was one bus to school, one bus back to my car and my job. Worked out great. So I see this guy, he's always in the school parking lot, fancy car, good looking, clean, like well groomed. I won't say like clean cut, but well groomed. Okay. Every time I see him, he always says a little something to me, but I'm like, oh, whatever. Keep on moving. Not a big deal. If I see you next time, maybe I'll stop and talk. So eventually we stop and talk, right? And my ass is smarter than this. I'm smarter than this. I'm way smarter than this. Okay. So he offers to give me a ride to my car. Okay. Smarter. Don't know the man outside this college, the community college parking lot. Don't know this man. Okay. I hop in this man's car. Not very smart. And he makes numerous stops to get me to my car. Mind you, I'm probably like not even 15 minutes from the college to the job where my car is parked at. Less than. We end up taking like a 2-hour detour. He's just making stops, meeting people, making stops, meeting people. Look, girl.
What the
Look, he got rings on every finger. Phone keep buzzing, but he on this phone over here, backing into the 7-Elevens and the Chevrons, the little mini marts. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, kind of dipping down into the seat now, like, yo, what did I get myself into? And like, how do you safely get out of the situation? But yeah, like come to find out, definitely a little drug dealer. Not like the biggest drug dealer, but like a little drug dealer, probably sold weed on college campus and like, whatever. But it's like, I knew these things. My father warned me, right? Like, and my young dumbass hopped in this man's car, could have took me clear to, who knows, human trafficking is actually really big here in Seattle area. And so like,
wow.
Yeah, so I just wasn't thinking, but it's like the backing into the parking lot. It's the golds on all the fingers. It's the multiple cell phones ringing. I'm like, when I realized.
Did you say backing into the parking spot?
Yeah, like always backing into the parking spot.
He said backing.
What's wrong with that?
No,
nothing's wrong with it, but that just means you're in your head, your mind says, I always got to be prepared to get up out of here.
Absolutely. That's why
Which isn't bad.
There's 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. You got to put it in reverse one way or the other.
All three together, where your hands, you got all the gold, you got multiple cell phones, you're driving a fancy car, you always got to back in. But I would have never observed these things if I didn't hop in his car, which was a stupid thing that I shouldn't have done, but I was glad I did it. But I ignored the red flags, the signs my father told me from the gate, you know what I mean? And like, you don't need no man that's got all this going on. And it's like, I knew that. Like I had that conversation at like 14, 15. And here I am, 19 years old, hopping in a stranger's car. Could have been a whole ass, have you seen, miss last scene.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want to laugh about it now, but I'm like, man, like, so that's just one of my I have red flag stories because I'm just like, oh, that's just who they are. Oh, you got to give people the chance, like little naive, So, yeah.
The backing up in the parking lot though, that's because I actually do that too. But that came from my truck driving because I drove trucks in the Army. So you had to back up. You were trained to back up.
Because it gave you the easy exit, right?
Well, I mean, no, I'm saying you have to back up tractor trailers. You have to back up the dump trucks, the tractor trailers. Yeah, the gas tankers, everything I was pulling in the Army, you always had to back things up. It was just so you had to learn, you had to have a backing up skill,
Not parallel parking, but backing up.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Back it up. So still to this day, I appreciate so much backing into parking spots. I really do. Women that know how to do that as well.
How many cell phones you got, baby?
I think I've given somebody else some red flags and they called me out on it.
Ooh.
You ever had one of those situations?
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
in my dating life, I never told the guy where I lived. Never. So never. Because they didn't last that long. I wouldn't get past the second, third date anyway. But here, this particular date, he came down from, I don't know, he came down from Baltimore or something to Richmond, and we went on one date. And then the second time he came down, he said, pick somewhere nice so we can go eat, da 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 da. And I'm trying to drive there and I couldn't find it, and I'm all over the place. And he says, every time I come down here, you look lost, more lost than you were the last time. You don't live here, do you? I was like, no. Taking him 25 minutes out to another area, acting like I lived there, but I could never find my way. I was always.
That's sketchy, Celeste. That's real sketchy.
He busted me.
Not going.
No, he busted me. No, really. Why I wouldn't tell her where I live, you mean, Tasha?
No, I mean, I get it. Like, you guys are, like, as women, we should take our
Oh, yeah, no.
serious. So I get it. I do the same thing, but then you got to know your territory.
But
know
who
where you
knew?
sending them.
Who knew? He said, let's get some ice cream. I thought to myself, oh, let me use the GPS. He was like, dang, you don't even know where ice cream is. I don't eat ice cream. Like,
lying. You lying too.
I think it's always a lot of red flags that I don't care if anybody tell you that they look at every red flag and they act on them. I don't believe that. I think that it's just your natural instinct to say, let me just try it. You know what I mean? Let me just see how far it goes until it go terribly wrong. You know what I mean? Then when it goes terribly wrong, then you're trying to do your defense mechanism to get your ass out of stuff. You know that. Because you want to trust people. You want to trust that the situation is not really going to be a bad situation. Something like my dad used to tell me, if you keep on trusting your instinct and your ass end up dead, that means that you were doing the wrong thing from the beginning. That my dad used to be so real. You know what I mean? He used to be so real. And then that wasn't even a red flag. That was just being real with me to say, if you go hook up with my dad was probably the realest person that you can meet, because he knew the street and he knew, real life. And he used to tell me things just like your dad. He would just tell me things. I didn't always listen, Tasha, just like you. I didn't always listen. But he would tell me, if you go over there and mess with that Negro right there, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. You're going to be fighting all the damn time. Now, I know you think you can fight, but you're going to be fighting.
who wants to do that?
Have black eyes,
Right.
teeth. You're going to be doing all these things that you don't want to do. You're not going to be the pretty little princess you think you are, because you're going to be fighting him, because he got a history of doing that. And if you could choose to listen all you want, but that's how it's going to go for you.
That wisdom.
Yeah.
So see, and that might be another topic, but that's kind of what came to my mind when you first saw this topic was, why do we ignore them? Like, we know what they are, you know what I mean? And that may be a whole nother topic, really.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where you're going with it, Kimmy, where, we were saying, hey, we'll try it out, and like what you're saying, Tasha, I kind of look for the good, and everybody, the silver lining of everybody.
You want it to work.
But we see that shit. We see it. Just like I saw it with Jada Pinkett, when she didn't want to leave.
Jada Pinkett Jr.
You said that ain't Jada Pinkett. Jada Pinkett.
Well, she looked really, everybody used to call her that. She really looked a lot like
Or how many of us had the red flag about somebody who pretended to be single or not married? And I had that one.
Let me tell you guys. Okay, look. So first off, I'm normally better than this. And I've been working since I was 16, right? And I know I don't deal with coworkers, right?
Only a couple years. I got you.
Oh, since that's okay. Whatever. I've been working. I got some years on my belt, but I know better than to like basically shit where you eat, right? Like I know better. But I was in a position. I was at a hotel, and our director of whatever, I won't even say the position, but he got promoted to a regional position, so he was no longer on the property level. So he wasn't actually where I worked, but we worked for the same company, right? And so like, now mind you, no ring, no nothing. Nobody said anything about this man's wife or a significant other, nothing like this, right? Nothing at all. Well, so he asked me out. He brings me lunch. You're like, okay, we'll go grab some food after work, whatever. Fine. I'm thinking nothing of it. Let me tell you. And I mean, again, no signs, no signs, no signs. But this is how dumb sometimes I could be. Come to find out, this man is very married, very, 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 very married. His wife done put an iPad into the car, track his location, right? Because she must tell he's stepping out, right? To track his location. And now the red flag is you don't shit where you eat. The rule is you don't mess with your coworkers, your colleagues, like nothing
Right.
like that. Right? That's rule number one. This is how crazy this lady is. That's her husband. My bad. I didn't know. He was out here acting real single. None of the people we worked with said anything about him not being single.
Mhm.
I switched jobs, like, okay, an opportunity presented itself, so I left. This woman called my next place of employment,
Oh,
the place of employment after that.
oh,
Like, I'm like, there's no red flag for that. But yes, I wish I knew the signs of like, okay, not taking the late phone calls or not always available. Like, there's these things we should be looking for that married men or like very involved men, you know what I mean? And so, but I was young, still young and dumb. But yeah, like, yeah, that I've done that, Celeste. It's been me. And she
I think
done.
I think we've all had one running like that. Somebody said they were single and they weren't.
I'm gonna say something to what you said, Jay. I think that because we talk about the episode of different type of red flags, I think that we don't say why we didn't do or why we didn't do something different until after the fact. It's because the simple fact, I don't think you really put your finger on it that it's really a red flag until after the fact. You know what I mean? Because you're giving people the benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean? You're not saying why and what you should have done differently because the situation is now past. You know what I mean? And now you're saying, okay, I should have been thinking, oh, damn, that was obvious or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, Jay.
Well, my perspective, I disagree because in that moment, I say for me, in that moment, I'm like, you done been here too damn long.
Okay,
I knew it.
you have
I knew it. Like
a standard as being a single man. You already said, okay, if I get into a entanglement with somebody, then you only should stay in my house till 1 o'clock, and they're way past 1 o'clock or something. So I know something is going on. But for most women, we're not even going to get to that position. She's already she was already in a desperate need situation. You see what I'm saying? So,
but I'm just saying, in responding to being in that moment, I'm like, people that have somewhere to go and have their own home, you don't have to tell them to leave. You don't have to say, okay, don't you got, I got somewhere to go or make up something. I'm saying in that moment, I knew for me, just for me.
First of all, the next morning when she didn't have a job to go to, that would have been a problem for me. What, you off too? You on vacation?
Right.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I'm curious because Celeste, you spoke on like one of the red flags you might have been giving out. Kimmy, JB, what kind of red flags y'all have put out there before that people have like what's your red flag? Everybody has something that should give somebody pause to question a little bit further. Come on, put words to it. I see you over there. Kimmy had to lean back.
Red flag that I have because
That's
Go ask your husband. Go ask your husband. Ask him.
You're saying about us, like about ourselves?
You.
What
Yeah,
would somebody else say is a red flag about us?
My red
okay.
I don't know is when I start to look stop talking, then that's your red flag.
No, like if somebody getting to know you, what would be like, oh, that's a red flag? Like Celeste was out there, like she's supposed to be going on dates in her neighborhood and she don't know where anything is. So guys like, girl, what you doing? How come you never know your own neighborhood? In your dating life, what has been a red flag that you've seen somebody just ignore to give you the benefit of the doubt?
With me?
Yeah.
You got them thinking.
I mean, like, because like sometimes you ignore, like, I don't know, maybe you two haven't, but like I have friends that ignore, like, oh, he got 3 baby mamas and 5 kids. That should be a red flag. If they ignore it.
Right.
And so what I'm saying, like, so we all have that thing. Like my thing.
I have this situation because I would say like with my ex-husband, That was a red flag. That was a definite red flag because
So like,
I think that I'm a motherly type of person, very, very motherly type of person. And if you ever see me not act motherly, it's a red flag going on. You might want to pause, because when I'm acting like not motherly, because most people who know me know that being a mom is like one of the biggest accomplishments that I love about my entire life. And I like the simple fact that I have a blended family. And even with my ex-husband, he had children before we had our children. But the red flag is after me and him divorced, you know what I mean? I became really guarded with one of my kids, and I became really guarded with me. You see what I'm saying? And people that had kids. You see what I'm saying? Because I felt like I couldn't trust anybody who had kids, because my ex-husband drove a wedge between his first baby's mother and his son and his children and our children, you know what I mean? And he intentionally did that because he didn't want to expose the things that he was lacking. So it made me put up a guard, Tasha, about being in a relationship with somebody else that had kids. I wanted to like coddle my own kids and comfort my own kids. So when I met my husband, he had a son, and I really didn't, and a little daughter, right? And I really at first didn't want to even talk about them. I didn't even want to say much about them, because that I didn't want to be connected, because I needed to see where that was going, Tasha. That should have been a red flag for my husband.
For him, yeah. Like, you got kids, you don't want to talk about my kids. They're kid rocks.
But it's not about my kids. It's because I had been through something. I didn't talk bad about them. I didn't say anything about them. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Nothing at all. Because I kept my kids over here. You keep your kids over there.
But that proves your point, Kim. Every red flag is not a bad red flag. So it's possible to ignore them because maybe it's something I'm going through, you know, or he thought, this is a wonderful woman. I could get her past this. It's a red flag. Something's going on.
We have
Cocoa for Cocoa Pops, but you know, I like cereal, so I'm gonna go ahead and do with this.
But to what you said today, you see that? You probably would have been on guard. You've been like, what's wrong with this chick? You know what I mean? She got kids and she acts like she don't even talk about my kids like that.
No, I would have just quickly put you in the category where I am not buying her kids no ice cream. No.
That's
I'm not buying her kids
I would have
no
bought my own kids, and I did that. I bought my own kids their own
ice cream. And we would have been cool. Would have been cool.
Okay, ice cream, but your ass can't stay here. You can't stay here because I'm buying my own kids ice cream, and I got my own damn shit, and you can't stay here. And because I want to protect them, and then two, I know that you can be a real father, and I will be a real mom to your kids. Then we'll be blended, because I can't deal with that deceitfulness. You know what I mean?
I would just say this. I don't know personally, for me, honestly, I wouldn't call that a red flag if I met a woman and she's very guarded, protective of her private life. Because while I was dating, and at that time, my kids were very small, every other weekend I would have my kids. And that weekend I had my kids, I would not see a woman. I wouldn't talk to anybody. I wouldn't let you come over. They wanted to meet them. No. You can't meet my kids. So I wouldn't personally call that a red flag if you were very protective and not so willing to, you know, get involved with my family initially. But I will say this, to answer your question, Tasha, about me, I think right now, if you would talk to the young ladies I kind of go out with and talk to on the phone, they would probably say all the same thing. His ass won't commit. That's the red flag right now.
Look,
probably.
That is a red flag. Player.
They'll be like, he won't commit. He just won't commit worth shit. Like, you know, what's the problem? You know, that's probably what they say about me right now.
So what's the problem?
Yeah, what's the problem?
Well, I'm not in no hurry.
Anybody
They keep giving out the milk without you making the without you having to buy the cow. So why commit?
Right. Exactly.
Exactly.
And I appreciate the milk. I do appreciate the milk, but I do also look at the cow and long term say, okay, the cow could be long term. I like this. I like the producing of the milk, and it looks like it could be good milk for long term. So I do still look at the cow. Don't get me wrong, and I'm willing to purchase the cow while I'm getting the milk for free. So I'm not that brother just gonna just stick to the free milk and not think about purchasing the cow at all.
You are playing a dangerous game. They're gonna
But
tell you what, they're gonna come. You're gonna come, and the Acme store is closed.
But they don't you don't commit, so you ain't buying nothing.
That's right.
Well, I'm saying it takes. It really. I'm being straight up with you. It's gonna take a while for me to commit. You know, I'm not gonna be that commit in 90 days. Yeah, I'm not gonna commit in 90 days, y'all. That's straight up. I'm just.
You buying something. He buying something. He just don't know he buying something. He buying something.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question for you guys. I'm currently out here in these dating streets, you know.
Okay.
Should I take this as a red flag? There's someone that I'm dating. He's close to 40, never been married, no kids, has never really had a live-in girlfriend situation.
Oh, he a virgin. He a virgin.
Ring a bell. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Go
ahead.
Is that
a red flag? Is that a red flag?
I'm gonna tell you in 1 minute. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Is he involved in his
that's not a red flag, Tasha. That's not a red flag. You say he's 40?
He's
no kids, never been married?
He's an executive at his job? Huh? He got an important job, big job?
He's in education and does a lot with his job, yeah.
Nowadays, you know, you really can't tell because people just, you know.
Or has he been in a long-term relationship?
I asked him this, and I think the longest term relationship he's been in outside of college would be like under 2 years.
I don't date anybody in that area. I don't look. Red flag.
Red flag.
Now you can't go by me because I'm still not an expert.
You're still out here in these dating streets too.
But I would not. First of all, that not having a relationship, a long-term relationship, would be a turn off for me. I don't want you to have kids, but what happened that you couldn't have none? And you ain't never ever been married, nobody liked you enough to get married, or maybe you're just really, really picky and nobody's good enough for you. I don't think it's a bad thing, but it could be that you really are looking for something that's really not out there. And at 40, it's hard to change somebody 40.
And let me say my piece, okay, Tasha, and you don't have to believe me. He's 40 years old. He hasn't been in a committed relationship in a long, long time, okay? He just reminds me of somebody.
Never.
JB?
I would say, I would say this much. Don't worry about the red flags, because what's going to happen is it won't matter if he shows you a red flag, because he's going to do something that's going to break away from you. If he's going to break away from you, because that's his pattern. And I'm just telling you, that's his pattern. So
is that his pattern? Is he breaking up?
Most definitely.
We don't know.
You don't have to worry about looking for a red flag, because she's gonna.
He can't commit.
Enjoy him for right now, because you guess what? Don't throw your soul or anything into him, because that's his pattern. That's his pattern. Don't think about it like this. Don't put the rent into him, because
he can't commit. He won't commit. He don't have time to commit. He ain't committing.
Okay, but let me just make one point. Hold on. Let me just make one point.
Go ahead, JB.
Couldn't it possibly be that he hasn't met that woman yet? And Tasha, you could be. I mean, let me just say this. 40 is relatively young. I know it's getting up there, but I'm just saying some people aren't out there in the trying to find somebody kind of thing. You know, they go through life and, you know, they may not be involved in anybody. It's not that they don't want to get involved, but they're not out there actively pursuing it. You know what I mean? But he could be a very picky dude.
But
he could be. He could be.
And that's the problem.
Something about her.
That's a problem.
If he likes something about her, it has to be fair and equitable, because it cannot be all on him to make that decision that he finds Tasha his choice. It has to be her choice too. So if he's so picky, If he's so picky that he said, I'm gonna wait to see if she's the person for me, then guess what? She got to make that. It's not about red flag because it's gonna be something. If he has a pattern, people don't change the pattern. He's 40. He's seasoned.
I'm saying that
and
it may not be.
at 35
I'm not saying.
up, they already know. And you know what? You don't have to admit that, Jay, but you already know. On most men, I don't care if you've been married 12 times, by 40 years old, you already know. You ain't gotta admit it. You already know what what you like in a woman and what you're looking for. And if you don't commit to a woman, that's all right.
But if you haven't found it though, that's what I'm saying. You're right. You know what you like, you know what you want. And if you haven't found it, this is all I'm trying to say from that perspective. That he may not.
If you never tried.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm saying again, hold it. He's tried, but it didn't work out. It didn't work out.
One time for 2 years.
I'm saying it didn't work out. But what would you rather have? You'd rather have him stay in a long-term unhealthy relationship? Maybe he's a brother that said, hey, all right, I see it's not working. It's not working.
We're only going
and I'm moving on.
We're only going based on what she's told us, right?
Yeah,
I don't think it's a red flag, Tasha.
No, it's not a red flag. It could be a wonderful guy.
You just keep your eyes open because he's gonna show himself, his true self.
But they're not.
But that don't mean it's a bad thing, though. I'm saying his true self couldn't be a bad thing. I just think that, you know, sometimes if you have a lot of dating history and you seem to be very desirable and everybody wants you, that people look at that as, oh, you're a good person. But if you haven't had a lot of dating experience and only have maybe 1 or 2 relationships, that doesn't mean you're not a good person for a long-term relationship.
He wasn't a good person.
Well, we were talking about his 2-year tenure as negative.
We're talking about a man that is dating a woman that clearly knows what she wants because she got 2 children and she got a great career. She ain't got time.
But she didn't say, but wait, she didn't say he doesn't know what he wants. She was just talking about his past.
Because he's 40 and he still ain't figured it out.
He don't.
But he's with her now. She might be, Tasha. You could be what he wants, Tasha. I'm telling you.
Guess what,
so,
Tasha? If he, guess what? It's not gonna be up to him to know what he wants, because it's gonna be up to you.
Right. I get the final choice. He may choose me, but do I choose him?
If he give you one inkling that he gonna be the I don't know, get rid of him.
Well, I think he'll do that too, because he's already been in shorter relationships.
You too beautiful. You ain't got time for games and things like that. Because if you haven't had a committed relationship by 40 years old, or even made an attempt,
he has, Kimmy. He has. He just don't take no shit. He don't take no shit off of him and break up.
He's never gotten to the point in 40 years where he's lived with a significant other. Like that kind of, to me, is a at 40, how do you even cohabitate? How do you even start to like cohabitate? I will say that before he'd say like, I knew I wasn't ready for marriage, like I just wasn't, but now with where I am as a person and professionally, like now I know I want to find my person. But even we'll say he's only been dating since he was 20. In the 20 years of dating, you've never cohabitated with a partner?
So how do you
that's a great point, Tasha. So that's a great point. So you're saying you do want to live with your guy before you marry him?
I wouldn't do that now. I wouldn't do that now because I have kids. So I'm not going to bring any man into my house. We're going to have to be really solid to go build a house together. But it is somewhat as a red flag to me is he's never lived with a partner in his 20 plus years of dating.
That speaks to being able to compromise. That speaks to being able to have relations. Yes, it does, Jay. You live with women. You live with this. You have to.
Let me tell you something.
You know
but me, but hold it. I'm not a 40-year-old virgin either. He's not
a virgin. He's not a virgin.
When you live by yourself, this is your world. You don't have to you don't have to agree on anything. When you live with somebody, you have to learn how to work with somebody.
Yeah. I'm saying
you haven't had that experience, that's questionable. That's questionable.
I'm simply saying that there are a lot of people that have that principle of I want to be married first, or maybe engaged first. Before I live together.
That's not the reason. The problem we're having is we're not saying he's a bad guy. We're not saying he's not a good quality catch. The question is he for Tasha? And he is not. Because
Well, how do you know that though?
because I'm
How?
telling you,
You already creating a new scenario for him, trying to come to the defense.
because he is not going to be able to, unless he has some experience that we don't know about, be able to conform to someone, a woman who is independent with her own children and her own space to have to share, because he's never had to share.
Never had
He doesn't know what
You
that
done
looks
ran
like.
into Tasha. You ran into a low mile brother. He got low miles on him.
Oh God.
You know,
And that's wonderful.
he got low miles on him, Tasha. That's
He
not
could
a
have
bad
low
thing.
miles and have
Not a
one.
bad thing, Tasha.
He could have one relationship and have low miles. He
Yeah.
had none.
I'm saying
None.
he hadn't had his mind blown yet. That's all. You know.
I've had pocketbooks older than him.
You know.
Older than his relationships.
I just say on that note, Tasha, beware. Beware.
Don't ignore the signs. Don't ignore the signs.
Give us an update. Give us an update.
Ignore the
Okay.
signs.
I hope Jay is right, and I hope it works. I really do.
Well, Tasha, let me ask you this though.
To be for it to work. That's the best.
But let me ask you this though, Tasha. Do you really think of that as something that could potentially be a hindrance that he hadn't lived with anybody or have any children?
It's not the children thing for me because he works in education. So I know he's great with children. So it's not I know he's been very selective about not having a baby mama. Like I get that.
Yes.
Yes.
It's the cohabitating. It's the compromise. It's the sharing. It's the
Living together.
The little things, because it's not going to be this bachelor lifestyle. It's not going to be like, so the fact that he's never cohabitated, not that he's never been married and never had kids, that's not the issue. Not that he's 40 and hasn't done it. You've never lived with a partner to know what it's like. You have to deal with the frustration that they squeeze the toothpaste from the middle, or they always leave the cabinets open, or
I got you. Sure.
Little things. And is that
right?
Because you've never dealt with those things? Do we get to that point and then those are deal breakers?
Yeah.
Even though we're way far into it now, because that's not going to be something we jump into. So it's and I mean, it sounds like even in college, he's lived in the dorms with men, but for a short time. And yeah, maybe, but he's been on his own and never lived with a woman.
Right. So he might have had some kind of experience younger in life that maybe deterred him.
That's Kim's red flag.
living together maybe before marriage. But I will say this, I don't know that I could ever marry a woman now and not have lived with her. So I do understand. That's the only way you're going to count it. It's the only way you're going to really know who truly that person is. Like,
yeah,
living together. I agree with you 100%. But did he say I don't want to live with anybody, or I haven't? That's a difference now. I haven't lived with anybody, or I do not want to. Did he ever say he don't want to?
He didn't want to live with anybody. He had been in those, like the relationships he had in. He liked his space, is definitely what he said.
Ding, 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 red flag, red flag.
I will say that.
Red flag, red flag.
I will say that now.
Red flag, red flag. Ding, ding.
I will say that now.
I will say I kind of agree that if he's saying I don't want to live with anybody,
but that's in the past. Now he's saying he knows in life he's ready for his person and his thing. And I'm just thinking, will he actually have the skills and the patience to deal with what he thinks?
And I believe he is ready, but he doesn't know what that looks like, honey. You're right.
It can't be practicing on you. That's what it is. Don't practice.
Right. I don't want to be anybody's practice.
Absolutely not.
They're life lessons to go be right for the next one. I'm over that.
First of all, before you figure this out, you do a couple drive-bys for the house and see what's going on at his house. Because
I know what I've been to his house.
Do that. See what's going
on.
No, Tasha, do like Jay's girl. Stay there tonight. Stay there next morning.
Right.
Take the car outside and pretend like you ain't going home. See what happens.
Yeah. Put a whole bunch of stuff in your car. And then act like you not going home.
And start straightening up and moving stuff around a little
in the house.
See what happens.
And bring a picture of yourself and put it on the mantle. And just see.
Is he an only child?
No, he's not an only child.
Okay.
See if he freak out.
Wow.
Put a picture of you on the mantle and see if he freak out. Because usually that's a sure way for somebody to go ham on you.
It's interesting that you answered like you did. I know we talk about red flags, but for me, those things I look for when I'm dating. Like I would want somebody who's in a relationship at my age, not at her age, at my age, that's been in a relationship for a long period of time. That means they have the ability to commit. You know what I'm saying? Because we know it's not all rosy. I look for things like that. I look for you've never had kids, and I am really big kid friendly, and I have kids around me all the time, and I love my kids. So if you can't really understand that. That's not a red flag for me. That's a deal breaker for me. But as a man, it sounds like it's different because you guys, big booty, free milk, or all that other stuff is just that's all that really I think guys look at. Is she a lady? Does she act like a lady? Is she gonna give me some? Is she clean? Look like little stuff. We look at a whole package of stuff, right?
We have to because we're at the end of the day. I mean, nothing against if there are men out here that are single parents and things like that. But if you are the custodial parent, you got to look at things a little different. I can't speak for all women. I cannot because some people are not doing their due diligence with their kids. No, they're not. So
deadbeat moms.
There's some women out here being tricks and hoes and acting like, well, they got more game than men out here. You know what I mean? Doing some crazy stuff.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, and especially when you at the 40 mark and going on the down curve, you ain't going on the up curve. You want to wear some leisure suit and think you pimping it. Nobody got no time for that. Nobody ain't got no time for that kind of stuff. It's okay if you want to be single. It's nothing wrong with that. You just got to say, hey, guess what? I'm just not the person for you. It may be a whole fleet of people that want to be in that realm. But
one of the things I want to say that I remember, Kim, when you're talking about your dad giving you life lessons and, things, my father said something to me when I was much younger, and I always remembered this. He said, son, I want you to think about this and remember this. The less you say something told me, or I knew I should have, he said, think about when you say those statements. What has happened is you're now looking in hindsight at the decision that you made when in that moment you had usually a little inkling, a little tap on the shoulder or something that told you not to do what you ended up doing, which now you're saying something told me. And even as simple as driving, I might be driving along going to work and I say, oh man, I'm gonna turn down this road here, and I don't do it. And then I go the way I'm going and run right into a damn roadblock. And I'm like, damn it, something told me I should have turned on down there. So what I try to do is do that as less as possible. So this is what I try to encourage everybody. If you're saying something told me, or I knew I should have, or whatever, then you probably shouldn't be there. Point blank.
Well,
it's real simple.
For what you're saying is, most of us sitting here on the porch today have not lived like that. Most of us have fell deep into the damn ditch, learned from the goddamn life lessons, and they have made us who we are today.
Right, but I'm saying moving forward, wisdom's the application or not. You ain't gonna keep doing it. You gonna keep doing it.
We say keep doing it. We talking to everybody out here on the porch today. Red flags are red flags. We all know that. But if we all are real here, we all have jumped our asses in the ditches. We all have done a whole bunch of things we ain't say was red flags, So to be honest, looking at what Tasha is saying, keep your eyes in the front, keep your eyes in the back. You know what I mean? Watch what this dude is doing. You know what I mean? Because red flags are not all bad things. It's life lessons. You know what I mean? They teach you. They teach you. Now, if you repeating things over and over again, that's called stupidity. You know what I mean? That's called stupidity. That's not life lesson. That's come about your ass will keep getting it, and you just stupid as hell. You know what I mean? And your parents have told you that too. But if you keep doing that, that's not a red flag anymore. That's called, I just want to be a dumbass and I want to keep this happening to me. You know what I mean? But these red flags happen for a reason. Why we avoid doing it, why we haven't done better, whatever. It's called life lessons. We're going to learn from it. Hopefully, we're going to learn from it. We all sitting here got kids. We all have told our kids the same thing. And Tasha, your children are young little people growing up right now. But you're going to say the same speech that Jay, Celeste, and myself are saying to our young 20 kids that are doing things right now where we say, I told you not to do that. You know what I mean? Don't you see what's going to happen to you? And none of them are listening, because guess what they're getting? They're doing life lessons right now. They
gotta learn the hard way.
themselves. They're not going, they're not even going to hear us right now, but they have a conversation. I can tell you, my daughter has the conversations with me from when she was in college, and she would just blatantly ignore the things I say to her, because she would reminisce back to when she was in high school, and I would just, tell her, don't do this, because if you go and do this, this and this is going to happen. If you this and this is going to happen to you. There's a laundry list of things of controlling, the narrative. Well, she went and did it, and then I'll say 99 times things went wrong, and she'll now say, Mom, I see what you were saying. Now, I wasn't right 100% of the time, but I had more life, circumstances to say, hey, you know what? I don't want you to have hurt in your life. I don't want you to experience pain. I don't want you to fall on your face. But you know what? That failure has helped both of my kids successfully move through their education, you know what I mean? And they still got a long road to go. When we talk about relationships, we all have had our blunders in relationship, hurt, pain, and whatever. But if you don't learn from it, you won't grow from it. So that's just my closing on that. I see, so let's click the light on. I don't know if that was
the porch light.
The porch light came on and say, stop running your mouth, but
no, the porch light.
Stop talking. But this was an interesting topic. Red flags are definitely a hot topic, because how can we avoid it? I don't think you can avoid red flags. I think it's the aftermath of if you continue to do it. You know what I mean? Will you do it again? Most likely, yeah. But if you keep doing it as a pattern, I think that's where you might want to start to seek some help, because
therapy.
Yeah, therapy. That's when it's not a red flag anymore. That's a personal
right, because that's insanity doing the same thing expecting a different result.
Yeah.
Right, that's a personal issue. That's beyond a red
flag.
Exactly.
And that's kind of what I was saying about, that's another topic of why do we end up ignoring them, because we all do. That's a whole nother topic.
Yeah, because
I ain't ready for it, JB.
Hey, I'm telling you, that goes beneath the surface, Tasha. But that's where I'm at, for real. There's no shame or nothing. Total transparency in my own life, because this is what helps me prevent it moving forward. And while another thing, kind of like with the commitment thing, because I got zero tolerance now. I mean, I just like, some people feel like, oh, I'm getting older or whatever, so I don't care if they breathing, got a pulse, let's get married. Where I'm the complete opposite. I'm like, no. I might have had that
extra standards.
Well, I'm just saying, as some people, that are dealing with low esteem issues and are needing to be validated by relationships and marriages, hey, I'm going to get involved with somebody. I want somebody in my life, and ignoring all the red flags.
I think
that's not the person for you.
I think that when you because I've been divorced and I am in a marriage, and marriage is not perfect. Marriage is a constant trials and tribulations. You have to work on it constantly. It's like a job you'll never have in your whole life. It can have its ups, its downs. At the end of the day, is your relationship happy enough to say that it's worth fighting for and it gives you happiness and joy? Or is it something that is just something that is tearing you down, where you just say, I can't be in this anymore? That's what marriage is. Marriage is something you have to weigh out, because it's never perfect. It's never perfect. Now, a lot of time people walk away from marriage because they can't see any type of happiness in it. You see what I'm saying? They're not compatible whatsoever. They have cheated on each other. You see what I'm saying? They break vows, and people cheat on each other and come back together. You know what I mean? Things happen. They find their way. But marriage is something that you have to work on. And I actually know people who have marriages that look like it's so crisp and clean and beautiful, and when the door's shut, they have no kind of communication style or anything like that. And I tell everybody all the time, I work on my marriage with my husband all the time. And I've been married going on 17 years with him. And I'm talking about it went up, down, all around and whatever. But I will say this to his face right now. I don't want to live a day without him, because he gives me substance in my life. He is far from perfect, but he gives me substance in my life, and I'm glad the Lord brought him to me, and I'm so thankful for him. So, I'm thankful to have a marriage, and I don't want to be single. I don't want to be single. I don't want to pick up and choose somebody just because to say I'm married, but I know it takes work. It takes work. It takes a lot of work.
Well, I'm glad to hear, I heard you say that. You're right. There is no perfect marriage and there's no perfect person. And I saw that one time when somebody said, yeah, the perfect person for me. So what I try to encourage people is to know who is the me, because what we get in this world is who we are, not what we want. And, there's an energetic invitation, whether we acknowledge that or not.
Yeah.
So, this is why sometimes the pattern of who we date and the pattern of who we are seeing is consistent because of that energetic invitation. So it does ultimately start with who you are. And that, I think, is, like you say, the relationship's not going to be perfect because there are going to be things that you all always have to tweak. You always have to compromise. You always have to understand about each other and learn to say, hell, right now, okay, I might think I'm right, but I need to just shut my mouth right now and let peace prevail, vice versa. Pick your battles, pick your fights. But for me, most importantly, I just encourage everybody to know who you are, love who you are, first and foremost. Then you will start to attract really what you want. Because if you're broken and you're upset and you're going through a whole lot of stuff in your own personal life, that's what you're going to a lot of times attract.
Yeah, that's true.
That same dressed up garbage can.
Amen.
He said,
"Take him to church, JB. Take him to church."
I tell you, church is the first date.
Church is that's right, Celeste. Let's take them to church on the first date.
Right.
Let's make sure that make sure the preacher is not messing around with the women in the church. So
that's right.
Church.
That's right. So
we're going to do an episode about that, right, Tasha?
I couldn't be on it. I ain't been in a church and I don't know how long. So y'all, I'll listen though. I support.
No, I'm just look. I'm when I tell you, I look at church every Sunday and I'm for it. But I have a problem with people using the church as a shield to do other devious things. So I don't want the first date to be on if I was single at church. I want to be somewhere maybe we could sit in
Applebee's.
Yeah,
tequila. We need tequila on the first date.
Food, so
mostly the people in church are broken, so it's a good place to take your first date. Everybody, they coming in for a reason. So can I give y'all my closing?
Yeah.
She didn't flick the light because we can be.
I want to make sure I make this clear. I want to say that all red flags are not bad, right? Red flags are just what they are, for you to be cautious, for you to pay attention, for you to be aware. But I also want to say that I believe I can speak for Kim when I say this. Myself and Kim responded to Tasha's question from the heart because that's our baby sister. So it was a little bit passionate and, but I don't want somebody listening to get the wrong idea. Everybody has different situations, different experiences. Yes, you could be the one. But if you're not, we don't want to have to go look for him. You understand?
I have to look for you.
But let's not give the guy a bad rap because it's not, like Jay said, it's not everybody, right? It could be a reason for it. It could be just timing. He could be sent for you. Universe is sending him to you right now.
Absolutely.
But as Auntie Kim said, don't let him choose you. You choose him. And I just want to be clear. We don't know everything, but we know this young lady, and we want the best for her. That's why we answer the spot.
We want your happiness. We'll come to appreciate his happiness, but we want your happiness right now, and that's important to us. So
exactly. All right. I just wanted to make that clear. So Jay, you feel better? You feel better, Jay?
No, because y'all ain't gave me no consolation at all.
I'm around here. We say you can't keep drinking the milk
and don't want to commit.
You don't even
You
come
know,
with a carton to catch the milk.
know,
You just want to get
you
the
know
milk
what I
and
mean?
keep drinking it.
I'm saying I'm still looking at purchasing the cow. I do appreciate the free milk.
Yeah, baby, you going to purchase the cow, you ain't even got no quarters or nothing. You just go in there.
You know?
I'm just looking, window shopping.
But let me get that milk. Let me get that milk. I got to make sure, you know. But that's kind of like what we were talking about at one time before. I agree with you too, though, Celeste. All red flags aren't necessarily bad red flags. And you know what's important ultimately is that you do acknowledge how they treating you overall, and what are the good things that you see it that's bringing to the table. And we can come to a place sometimes where we might be overreacting or assuming negatively about something that we just don't know a lot about. So I think having an open mind and keeping your mind open and your heart, protect your heart, but just understand that all red flags aren't, but when it is a neon sign, it's a flashing bulletin board, you probably need to acknowledge
say
that.
that, a neon sign.
Yeah, you need to acknowledge that one, definitely.
Sorry we didn't acknowledge yours, Jay. I think that you are a happy person, and that's all that matters. And
But I do. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you there's no shame. I do get lonely. I do want that
Well, I
special
already
woman.
put it out. I put a whiteboard up. Anybody that needs someplace to stay,
go to Jay's house. Jay
I already
Right,
wrote it down.
got extra room.
And tell them to bring mortgage. Tell them to bring mortgage for 6 months too
No,
when
I
they
told
come.
them 1 night only. You only do till 1 o'clock. What was it? 3 o'clock?
They have to pay rent for one night.
They need.
Next day. You get to stay 1 night, make breakfast, clean up, and stay till 6. And then you got to go.
Yeah, you definitely got to go for sure. You got to
In your
go,
car
y'all.
that
As a
sounds
matter of
like a
fact,
bucket of screwdrivers.
if somebody ass is over here past 2 o'clock, I'm calling y'all, and y'all get them out of here for me, okay? Get them out of here.
But this was a great episode, and again, as usual, I love everybody on the porch. Celeste, Jay, Tasha, we are a family, and tonight's episode was red flags. And as usual, we are here never to offend. We are here to empower, to uplift, and to bring the truth, transparency. That's what we're here for. So at any time, if you feel like you want to reach out, you have questions, concerns, or even episode topics that you would like to share with us, send us a message through DM. You can reach us on any of our social media pages. Let's Chit Chat Sis on Facebook or Instagram, or send us an email by let's chit chat sis @gmail.com. We will always respond back to you. So thank you again for joining us on the porch tonight. I'm your girl Kimmy,
And I'm your girl Celeste.
This is JB from NC.
And Tasha Rose.
Have a wonderful night and have a good week on purpose.